They say something is wrong with you when you don't chase romance the way everyone else does, when you don't light up at flirting, when grand gestures feel heavy instead of exciting, when the idea of being desired doesn't comfort you as much as it confuses you. People label you cold, damaged, afraid of intimacy. They assume you just haven't met the right person yet. But what they miss is that you're not avoiding connection. You're avoiding chaos. You're not craving butterflies. You're craving safety. And in a world addicted to emotional adrenaline, that makes you look strange. Here's the truth. Most people never slow down enough to see. Wanting deep emotional safety more than romance is not a weakness. It's not emotional immaturity. It's often the mark of someone who has felt too deeply, trusted too honestly, and learned, sometimes painfully, how fragile the human nervous system really is. Romance promises intensity. Safety promises continuity. And if you've lived long enough in emotional storms, intensity stops looking like love and starts looking like a warning sign. Some people are wired to chase emotional highs. Others are wired to protect their inner world. You fall into the second category. You don't want someone to complete you, rescue you, or set your heart on fire. You want someone who doesn't destabilize you. Someone whose presence feels quiet, predictable, and solid, not boring, regulating. And psychology tells us that this desire doesn't come from fear alone. It comes from awareness. There's a type I call the silent observer. This person learned early that emotions have consequences. They watched how one wrong word could change a room, how one emotional outburst could shift power, how love could turn into leverage. So they became careful, not closed. Careful. They learned to read energy before trusting it, to listen more than they speak, to value consistency over chemistry. The silent observer doesn't fall fast because they're always scanning for safety signals. Are you emotionally stable? Are you predictable? Do your words match your actions? Romance that moves too quickly feels suspicious, not exciting. And that's not trauma talking. That's pattern recognition. Then there's the betrayed soul. This one is often misunderstood. People assume they're bitter or guarded, but that's not accurate. They're sensitive in a world that punished them for being open. They gave trust freely once, maybe more than once. And when it broke, it didn't just hurt. It restructured them. The betrayed soul learned that emotional attachment without safety is dangerous. So now, before they give affection, they look for emotional shelter. Can I be myself without being punished? Can I relax my nervous system around you? Romance without safety feels like standing on thin ice. Beautiful, but unstable. And once you've fallen through, you don't admire the surface anymore. You test it. Another archetype is the nervous system protector. This person doesn't even consciously think about romance versus safety. Their body decides for them. Loud emotions, dramatic relationships, unpredictable partners, they don't just feel uncomfortable. They feel unsafe. Their heart races. Their thoughts scatter. Their sleep breaks. So they choose calm. They choose emotional neutrality. They choose people who don't spike their stress levels. Society calls this settling. Psychology calls it regulation. The nervous system protector understands something most people ignore. Love that dysregulates you isn't love. It's stimulation. And stimulation is not the same as security. And then there's the self-sovereign. This one is rare. The self-sovereign doesn't crave romance because they've built an internal home. They've learned how to sit with themselves, how to self-soothe, how to create meaning without needing emotional chaos to feel alive. They don't want to merge. They want to coexist. Romance for them is optional. Safety is essential. They're not afraid of being alone. They're afraid of losing their inner peace. And that fear is not insecurity. It's discernment. What connects all these types is not emotional damage, but emotional intelligence. You understand that love isn't proven through intensity. It's proven through reliability, through emotional availability without volatility, through being able to disagree without threatening abandonment, through silence that feels comfortable instead of tense. You're not chasing someone who makes your heart race. You're looking for someone who lets your heart rest. The dark psychological twist is this. People who crave safety over romance often see through the illusion most people fall for. They see that many romantic relationships are actually trauma bonds dressed up as passion. They see how unpredictability gets mistaken for depth, how anxiety gets mislabeled as attraction. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Your standards change, not because you think you're better than others, but because you know what you can't survive again. So when someone tells you you're too guarded, or too serious, or too hard to love, understand what they're really saying. They're uncomfortable with how little chaos you tolerate. They're used to emotional noise. You prefer emotional clarity. They chase sparks. You build foundations. And foundations don't look impressive at first glance, but they're the only reason anything lasts. You're not broken for wanting safety. You're evolved involved. You're not missing out on romance. You're refusing to gamble your nervous system for temporary intensity. And in a culture that confuses love with suffering, choosing peace is a quiet rebellion. So which of these types feels closest to you? Or maybe a little bit of all of them? I'd love to hear your thoughts. If this made you think different, hit subscribe. We go deeper every day. Don't forget to like the video. Mind Unfolded isn't just a channel, it's a mindset.